Hi, my name is Jen, and today we will be talking about this book. So it's called Livsviktigt, but in English it's called Vital, a guidebook in body positive parenting. So today's topic is body positivity, and more specifically body positive parenting. I asked on Twitter if I should buy this book and review it, and almost instantly 2 beautiful friends donated for me to buy it, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. This video is not necessarily about the author of the book, who seems to be a very kind person. When I posted online that I was going to review this book, I had comments telling me to listen to her episode on the feminist podcast Haveristerna. A lot of people found her to be down to earth and reasonable despite her somewhat misguided ideas, and I fully agree. When I reached out to her privately, she actually took the time to sit down and give me full and well thought out answers. That is something that I respect wholeheartedly. So who is she? Karin, also known as Kajjan, Andersson is a self-described body-positive, fat body activist and a feminist. She's an author, a journalist, and lecturer. She has a degree in journalism and a master's in the humanities, which include gender studies and art. She is a big name on the feminist scene here in Sweden with her 17,000 followers on Instagram. She was recently invited to news morning show Nyhetsmorgon on TV, where the host exclaimed how important her work is. Her lectures that she has are on body positive parenting, as well as on how to practice body positivity in everyday life. In the introduction pages of this book, she talks about how she isn't an expert, but she has some experience with the topic due to her experiences as a fat child. This brings us to our first subject. Much like the male feminist book that I have covered a couple of weeks ago, this book is also very personal. In an interview on the Swedish morning news show Nyhetsmorgon, she says as much, that the process of writing this book and talking about these things has sort of been like trying to heal the damaged child that she has been. I can very much sense this in the book. She talks about everything from her years in kindergarten to her years as a teenager with eating disorders. I can very much relate to a lot of her stories. I developed an eating disorder as a result of trauma. I have had family issues, and the control that I lost over my life and the lack of parental attention manifested itself into a food and body obsession. I have a lot of sympathy for people struggling with eating disorders. I think that it is one of the most lonely disorders to have. I have talked a little bit about my view on this aspect in a video that I made roughly a year ago. I think that once you have been sick, it can be difficult to completely lose the ghost of the disorder. The relationship with food can remain very unhealthy for a long time. Eating disorders are complicated. When they fully take form, they aren't so much about losing weight or being skinny as much as they are a form of self-harm that simply manifests itself into body deprivation, dysmorphia, and control issues. My eating disorder got better and eventually healed when I got my life together and became surrounded by people who loved me, which in the end was what I was actually lacking: love. With eating disorders, the story is different for everyone. And one aspect that we tend to forget is that it isn't just starving yourself. It comes in many forms. It's disordered eating. That doesn't have to mean starvation. I believe that compulsive overeating, otherwise known as binge eating, is a part of disordered eating. You don't necessarily have to partake in disordered eating to become overweight, but I think that it is part of the problem a lot of the time. The body signals to us when we are hungry and when we are full. We have become a society today that tends to not listen to these signals. Instead, we stuff our mouths for pleasure, but even then, we don't enjoy ourselves. A good friend of mine recently recommended me a book called French Women Don't Get Fat. It's a book on how to eat for pleasure and truly enjoy eating and drinking without giving up your physique. The French eat pastries, cheese, wine, and regular 3-course meals, and it does not show. The author of the book makes the case that to stuff your mouth without thinking about what you're eating is the problem. It's a food culture where we don't appreciate where the food on our table comes from. She talks about eating with the seasons. She talks about enjoying the every other day trip to the local market and making food and everything around it enjoyable, freshly picked, locally grown, and quality food, as well as variety rather than the same 3 meals of over fatty and over sugary fast food. The author of this book also recommends not relying on your scale, but instead the mirror and your clothes for measuring how you look and have progressed if your goal is to lose weight or remain a certain shape. Kajjan Andersson sees everything that is about remaining in shape or losing weight as toxic. She cannot separate that from eating disorders. I recommend her to read this book and take a tip or two on how to get back to being healthy without being obsessive. It is possible. But as I say this, I also want to stress that I have a respect and a deep empathy for her struggles with her past of eating disorders, and I am in no way trying to minimize that or pretend that it is easy to just change your perspective and then be healed. It's a process, and I am no expert, but neither is she. So I have no idea why she, in writing this book, claims that diets don't work and makes the insinuation that you can't lose weight without becoming obsessed and disordered. Being overweight is not just an aesthetic. Karin Andersson makes the claim in this book that the only thing our weight shows us is our gravitational pull to the earth and nothing else. She doesn't believe that your weight can tell you anything at all about your overall health. She claims that your weight indicates nothing about your lifestyle and even goes as far as to claim it's purely genetic.
En liten påminnelse så här på lördagen. Du kan inte se på någon hur hens hälsostatus är. Du kan inte se det. Jag förstår att det är många smala personer som gärna vill känna att de liksom sitter på en massa kunskap här och nu ska komma och rädda tröga, lata tjockisarna med sin kunskap och dela med sig av den så att de förstår hur dåliga de är. Problemet är, kära smalisar med denna superkraft, ni har inte den kunskapen. Ni räddar ingen.
This is preposterous and a perfect representation of her relationship with facts and with experts. She also tells pregnant women that they don't have to weigh themselves at the doctors if they don't want to, even though this is one of those instances where weight is important. Kajjan Andersson is one of those body activists who complain about her doctors pointing out her weight. Of course, she has an issue with doctors talking about her weight when she doesn't correlate weight with health whatsoever.
Pang, sa det. Så fick jag ryggskott.
She mentions in the book the massive decrease in young people's mental wellness. She also talks about the problem with eating disorders and draws a correlation between the two and how we are an eating disordered society. She, however, never mentions the increase of illness due to overweight and obesity. She mentions in her book that one of the side effects of children being overweight is mental illness and lowered self-esteem. She then goes on to say that these side effects only appear when the child meets the world and the world criticizes her. While having this in her book in one chapter, in another chapter she tells a story of how her and a classmate couldn't join in on certain games in gym class because they were too big. She couldn't fit under the benches of the obstacle course, and she was also too big for a game where one aspect was to crawl under your teammates' legs. Her solution here as an adult is to ask of gym teachers to only make games that don't make overweight kids feel excluded. What I instead see here is a child being limited by her weight, and it's not her fault. It is not her fault. Her parents should have done better. Society as a whole should do better. A big part of this book is from the eyes of a child with weight issues, and these issues wouldn't be solved even if we worked really hard for broader acceptance of fat people. With overweight comes the side effects of lower quality of life. It's not natural to be obese or very overweight. Of course, we can't all be supermodels. No one is claiming that. I, for example, am currently 1 kilogram overweight according to my BMI, but I am still norm skinny, as she would put it. I don't look overweight at all. I don't think, at least. I don't even think I look chubby. Well, I think my face is kind of round, but that's actual genetics. I can't change that, how much I even try. And if I started to hate my body, because I have been a little bit too lazy over the winter months, I would just continue to mistreat myself more and more. I am completely for loving your body, but loving your body does not mean stuffing your face and sitting on your ass. Unless you have a medical condition, you have no reason to be tens of kilos overweight. You are doing yourself a disfavor. Loving your body, even if you are currently overweight or underweight, is the only way that you can lead a happy, healthy life and get yourself where you want to be. There are positive aspects to the book. It's not all negative, of course. I agree with the surprising lot of the things that she is saying. I think she is completely right when she says to not talk about your own weight in front of your children. You shouldn't need to have a scale in your bathroom that your children can use. If they need to, for whatever reason, they should weigh themselves with your company. The possibility of them weighing themselves every day and obsessing over their weight shouldn't even be a possibility. Kajjan Andersson also has great tips on how to stop a kid who can't seem to portion control and can't seem to get enough food. Her tips are to teach the kid how it feels to be hungry and how it feels to be full. Mindful eating, really. And also to make precise portions, enough for everyone to have one serving and a small second helping. Never shame a kid for having an appetite or for not having one. Don't make dinner into a negative experience because that can only have harmful side effects. I have more to say, but this is the end of this video. I will be releasing a second part soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Bye! Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that I have to split this video up in two. I have a lot more to say, specifically like things that I don't understand why she thinks that she is an expert in this only because she's experienced being fat. I'm going to link a video down in the description of a person with similar experiences who actually lost like 180 pounds and now is a stark he doesn't even, stark defender against body positivity movement. Like, he doesn't believe in it because he wants people to be the best they can be, and he doesn't believe that you can be that when you are obese. Yeah, be sure to watch that video. And I have started a Patreon. Some of you have already joined, and I am extremely grateful for that. If you want to, I will have the link to my Patreon down below. And please comment if there is anything specifically that you would like me to cover in my next video. That video will be out not this week, but the week after, I am hoping. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!